Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm very happy to have you here, guys. So as you can see, today we will be trying out some fragrances from Haramain. If in all honesty, I have already filmed this video not yesterday but the day before that, and when I went to edit it I had like 30 something minutes of footage. There was no audio. And I cannot understand, not even up to this date, I cannot understand why there was no audio, because I have filmed other videos and the audio was perfect and the microphone was with full battery, but I guess it's just a mystery. So here am I today refilming the video. But I think that's actually a good thing, because yesterday, as I was doing some organizing in the place where I keep all my decants and samples, I actually came across a sample of an oil from Haramain that I bought, and I have completely forgot about it. I bought it to test it, so I will test it here as well in this video. Okay, so for today's video, I had planned to review two fragrances from the L'Aventure series by Haramain, L'Aventure Femme and the simple L'Aventure for men. And the bonus fragrance for today's video will be this oil. I have a 1 ml sample, so I'm just like briefly sharing my thoughts about how it smells. That's called Amira. Okay, by the way, before I start, if you have tried any of these three fragrances, I would love to read your thoughts about them. Let me know if you enjoyed them, especially if you have this oil. Let me know some layering ideas with the oil if you have it and you enjoy it. And also, if you have these two, let me know what you think about them. Now, these, like I've mentioned, are from the L'Aventure collection. There are, I think, 7 fragrances in that collection, and I have samples for just 2 of them, but hopefully in the future I will get to test more fragrances from the collection. By the way, in case you're curious, these samples I got them from Vivantis. In case you're based in Europe and you are looking for a place to get some Haramain samples, that's where I bought them for amazing prices. So yes, guys, without further ado, let's begin. I think I actually want to try this one because I was very curious to try it yesterday when I found it. I mean, it's so small that it just got lost, you know, among all the other fragrances, samples, decants, oils and everything. And I was actually very curious to try it yesterday, but I was like, no, let me actually wait till today so I can like do somewhat of my first impressions on the fragrance, even though if I remember correctly, I haven't smelled it only once before since I bought it. But yeah, let's start with Amira. Amira, if I'm not mistaken, means princess in Arabic, I think. Let's see. Okay, hold on, let me actually open this and I will be back. I hate these samples for the oils with this thing here. It's so, especially if you have nails, it's so yeah, I managed to open it. Now I have a dent in my finger, but let's try it. So Amira, let's see what Amira is about. I will apply a bit more because I'm not a fan of these small samples, but you know, it's okay. Yeah, this oil definitely has a Middle Eastern undertone to it. It's cold, it's a cold, powdery rose. I think it has some trace of a medicinal oud, but it's very well hidden behind all the other notes, so I get just a tinge of it, but not too much. But the overall fragrance is very cold. Slightly sweet as well. Yes, and it's a very muted fragrance in a sense. I mean, even though the notes themselves, I think, are supposed to be on the stronger side, but when you actually go in and smell this fragrance, it's more delicate, it's more muted. So I feel like they took the notes, but they made them very easy to enjoy in a way. Yeah, it's interesting. It's not very complicated. So it's slightly cold, slightly rosy, slightly powdery, slightly like woody incense in the background. I feel like if you enjoy fragrances like Oud Aswad, if you enjoy fragrances like Soir d'Orient from Sicily, I feel like this one kind of goes into the same direction, but of course a little bit different compared to them. But I mean, it's nice, but I think it's very soft, like very, very soft. I don't know. And it has this very beautiful incensey, but like the incense smoke that's very cold and a little bit ashy, but in the background, I think this is what makes me think of a burning incense stick in a way. This is, I think, what makes me think of Oud Aswad by Swiss Arabian. But this one, it's slightly more powdery, definitely less heavy on the rose, definitely much softer. I mean, it's a nice fragrance. I will leave it here on my skin to develop a bit, and I will talk about it after I talk about these two next fragrances. Okay, so let's talk about the first one, L'Aventure Femme. Now, this fragrance, I think it's supposed to be an inspiration of Creed Aventus for Her. I haven't tried that fragrance, but this is, I think, look, Fragrantica categorizes this fragrance as a floral fruity. To me, it's like a citrusy bomb, honestly. Like, the main thing that I smell when I smell this fragrance is like an explosion of citruses, and to be more specific, of lemon and bergamot. I will actually spray this fragrance on the paper and I will come back. This one opens up with a burst of citruses, the kind of citruses that if you were to bite from them, they would make your mouth go like this, like, you know, so they're very acidic, very sour at the same time, with just like a little bit of sweetness. In my mind, you have here a burst of lemon and bergamot. Like, if you were to bite from those two, you know, I think this is pretty much what you will get in the opening. In my opinion, you really have to love citruses to fully appreciate this fragrance. And let me tell you something, both for the L'Aventure Femme and both for the version for men, the L'Aventure Simple, you have to test them, in my opinion, in warm weather. I actually bought these samples many months ago. Basically, it was during the winter time that I bought these two, and I remember testing them in the winter, and if I'm being very honest, I was not the biggest fan of them, in a sense that the citrusy part was a little bit scratchy or screechy. It was a bit off balance in a way, you know. But since testing them again in warmer months, I think this is the time where these fragrances get to shine, and where these fragrances can actually show you what they can do, you know, like what like the best they can give you, in a sense, you know. Now, yeah, back to this fragrance. You do have some fruitiness in a sense, but to me the fruity aspect is behind the citruses. Now, to me, the main thing that I smell, like I've mentioned, is the citruses. The citruses here, like when you first apply it on your skin and you go in and smell it, they are very prominent. They are slightly refreshing, slightly effervescent in a way, and very sour at the same time, with a little bit of sweetness, but just a tinge. Then you have the fruity facet in the background. Now, to me, the fruity note here, it's more like an what's the word, like an abstract fruity accord, you know. Like, when I smell it, I can't say that, oh, I'm smelling pineapple, I'm smelling, I don't know, something like cherries or anything in particular. To me, it's more of an abstract fruity accord that adds, again, a beautiful sweetness to the fragrance, so it's not too citrusy. I feel like this note actually pulls a bit from the citrusiness of the fragrance, and it actually makes it a bit more balanced. And it's a very interesting, like, again, smelling it, it's a very interesting sweet sour feel that usually makes your mouth go like this, you know, like, I don't know how to describe this sensation in English, but I think you can tell what I mean by that, you know. And as this fragrance starts to develop on the skin, the floral part starts to shine, in my opinion. You have here some cold, bright, airy jasmine, and by the time that the jasmine starts to shine on your skin, I feel like that effervescent, refreshing, acidic, citrusy vibe that you had in the opening, now it has faded away. You still get that like sweet sour feel, but it's much more toned down, much smoother in a sense. But keep in mind the sour aspect, because I feel like here it's where it could have the potential to be oh my god, I cannot speak, a deal breaker. Okay. Yeah, and you also have with the citruses, with the slight fruity accord in the background, with all the bright, clean, airy jasmine, you also have this crisp, clean, musky feel that's in the background. Now, as you wear this fragrance, I feel like the florals get to shine more. You have that jasmine that's now much more pronounced. You have a slight powdery feel. The fruity feel, it's still there, I feel like, but again, it's still in the background, nothing too much. Also, something that you should keep in mind, this fragrance is not very sweet, in my opinion. I mean, not sweet in the sense that you have the sweetness from a vanilla or the sweetness from a really juicy fruity accord here. To me, the sweetness is that like sweet sour feel that you had in the opening that's still present now, but a bit more toned down. So if you enjoy sweet fragrances in general, just keep in mind this might not be your cup of tea. I mean, compared to, for instance, Amber Oud Gold by Haramain, they're very different fragrances. That one is made around sweet citruses, I would say. That one basically smells like a bowl of tropical fruits with some sweet citruses sprinkled there from place to place, you know, while this one is sour. Yeah. Okay, so to me this fragrance, it smells a bit sharp in the opening, but the sharpness fades away, so do give this one time. And also, the key to this fragrance is to test it in warm weather. In cold weather, like when I was testing this one on my skin during the winter time, I have to be very honest with you, it has something very green that even now I do detect some greenness in the background, but back then it was ultra green to the point where it smelled off in a way. I mean, it didn't smell balanced, you know, it didn't smell like a beautiful blended composition in a way. It smelled like you just threw in a bunch of notes. But now in the warm weather, this is the time where citruses, or like the citruses, truly have a chance to shine in a way. I still feel like you have to appreciate citrusy notes and citrusy fragrances in general to enjoy this fragrance, and not the sweet citruses. Keep in mind, not the sweet citruses. Okay, so now this fragrance to me smells very like professional in a way. It smells very feminine, but quite assertive in a way. It's not a girly fragrance. To me, it smells professional, like I've mentioned. It smells like this is the kind of fragrance that I would picture on a woman with a crisp white shirt, with like, I don't know, like a very statement-like style, but it's very like feminine in a sense. But you know that like with a white outfit, I don't know, it gives me white outfit vibes, but not like flowy white dresses that move as the wind blows. No, those like more of a statement white pieces in a way. Yeah, it's beautiful. Something that I really appreciate about this is the fact that it has this like serious aspect about it, but it's feminine. It's not too serious in a way. But this fragrance, okay, so this fragrance I feel like is very versatile in the sense that if you want a fragrance that smells like how I've described it to you for the summertime, then you could wear this one during the daytime, you could wear this one during the nighttime. If you have any issues with it, you could layer it as well. I think it would work great layered with a lot of other fragrances. Now, someone actually asked me in the comment section, I don't remember how, like exactly when, but like recently, I would say like a few weeks ago, a month and something ago, if I could give her some layering recommendations, because she got this fragrance and she hates it, and that on her is very sour. Now, if that person is watching, I would really be curious if you have tested this fragrance in the colder months or in the warmer months, because I have noticed in the warmer months that sour facet is balanced by the fruitiness of the fragrance at the same time, with the florals, with the muskiness there, so it's not as off balanced as it was when I was testing it in the winter. Now, if you feel like you have a similar issue with this fragrance, I actually have 2 layering recommendations for you. So the first layering recommendation that I actually told her as well is to layer this one with Amberwood Gold Edition by Haramain. Now, like I've mentioned, this one is more like sour citruses with cold jasmine, some crisp white musk, and a lot of like lemon and bergamot in a sense, while the other one from Haramain is a bowl of tropical fruits. I would use this one, L'Aventure Femme, as a base, and I would actually apply the one from Haramain as a topper, because this way I think you could mask a bit some of the sourness. Now, the second layering idea that I have for you is with an oil from Ibn El Jiburi. Is this oil here, and it is their inspiration of Madawi by Arabian Oud. I think it would work amazing. Like if you have that oil in your collection, or if you have Madawi or any other fragrance inspired by Madawi, and you have this one as well, and you would like to explore and you would like to experiment with some layering combos, please give them a try and let me know what you think about them. I think you really might enjoy them. Okay, so back to the oil a bit, guys, because I feel like if I were to wait until the end of the video, the oil would like completely evaporate from my skin in a way. It's very soft. It's very soft, it's very intimate, it's very muted. Now it's even softer. Like I can't really detect much in a way. Yeah. Now it's like slightly powdery, like a little bit amber in the background, but again you have something cold and powdery on top of it. Slightly rosy, but like a faint trace of something reminiscent of rose. I mean, it's not bad, it's beautiful, but it's very soft. I think if you would like to experiment with some Middle Eastern oils that are very soft, but they follow that traditional scent direction in a way, you could try this one, perhaps, but I would advise you to get a sample of it, because in a sense, I don't know, for me, honestly, it's a bit too soft for my liking, but we will see. I don't know, we will see. Something that I wanted to add as well, and I forgot, but I remember now, for the L'Aventure Femme, is that in the last bits of the dry down, it reminded me of a fragrance from Armaf called Seduction for Women. Now, again, like I've mentioned, this is supposed to be an inspiration of Aventus for her by Creed. That fragrance from Armaf, I don't know if it's supposed to be an inspiration of the other fragrance from Creed, but basically the when I looked at the notes of that one from Armaf, I will insert a photo with the fragrance here that I'm talking about. Basically, the notes breakdown of that fragrance looked very similar to the notes breakdown that you find in the heart and in the base of this fragrance. So I think that's why I sensed some similarities between them. But honestly, between the two, I would actually advise you to get this one. That one from Armaf, honestly, just left me like, nah, in a way, like it, I don't know, it didn't leave an impression on me, you know. While this one is the kind of fragrance that it will leave an impression in a sense. Okay, so let's move on to the version for men. And they do share some similarities in my opinion. Okay, so this is also a citrusy fragrance. By the way, both of these fragrances are quite oily, so I would say longevity is not an issue. For both, I got more than 6 hours on my skin. On clothes, I have not tried them, honestly. Yeah, see, this one is a bit different. This one in the opening, it's cooling, it's refreshing, it's cold, it's iced in a sense, you know, you have this like icy cold feel to the fragrance. It's almost like you have this sensation of lemon and lime sitting on ice cubes, you know, so you get the sourness of the citruses, you also get a bit of bitter facets here as well that I will touch more about them a bit later, but you get the sourness of the citruses, you get that like specific citrusy acidic feel, but they are very cold and refreshing and cooling in a sense. This one reminded me of a fragrance, but like a little bit only. It reminded me of Club de Nuit Intense for Men from Armaf again. And I know that one is supposed to be an inspiration of Creed Aventus for him. And I think this one is supposed to be an inspiration of that fragrance as well. Please don't quote me on that. My knowledge when it comes to men's fragrances is not as good as my knowledge when it comes to women's fragrances or unisex fragrances. This is actually one of the reasons why I don't review so many men's fragrances, because I can't tell you like how close it is to the inspiration or anything like that, you know. But this one as a standalone fragrance, it's very good. I feel like it's a bit more friendly than the one from Armaf. The one from Armaf had that extra smoked leather feel that made it stand out, I feel, and it made it be like a statement fragrance, you know, like a very bold, unapologetic statement like fragrance. Whereas with this one, because this one doesn't have that like smoked leather feel, this one I feel like it's more easy to wear it and to incorporate this fragrance into your day-to-day life, in my opinion. Maybe the one from Armaf, unless you had the taste and the style and the life, let's say, to wear those kind of fragrances on a daily basis, for some it could have been a bit too much. Now this one is more wearable in my opinion compared to that one. Also not as heavy on the pineapple as the one from Armaf. But yeah, let me tell you how this one actually smells like on its own. So yeah, you get the citrusy on ice kind of feel, and you get here a lot of greenness, like that aromatic green, slightly bitter type of feel, that like leafy green in a sense, you know. A strong musk, it has a strong dose of musk as well. The musk here is very cold to my nose, and all this on a woody base. Now, something that I have to point out here on the paper, it's much heavier on the citruses, much heavier on the musk. It's a bit more airy and breezy in a sense, whereas when I tried this one on my skin, the woody notes shined as well there, and it was definitely much more pronounced than it is here when I smell it on paper. Now, I think this fragrance is beautiful. I think this fragrance is gorgeous. It's a very manly man kind of fragrance, but keep in mind you should appreciate green fragrances to appreciate this one. You have some, is that like citrusy green, aromatic, cold, iced type of fragrance with some like bitter facets in the background, with a woody feel that supports all the other notes, with a crisp musk, you know, that makes this fragrance project, in my opinion. So I feel like if you enjoy green fragrances with some citruses, you would enjoy this one. Hold on, my cat. Okay, I think he stopped. Yeah, it's very beautiful. I think this fragrance in the warm weather, yeah, by the way, in the warm weather, I have again tried this fragrance in the colder months. No, I feel like in the colder months, you know what it happened to me? It started to develop this bitter, piney, ultra heavy green facet. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of green fragrances in general to begin with, but in the colder months, when it started to develop that facet, again, it was a bit off balance in a sense. So in my opinion, now I'm not the queen of citrusy fragrances. I haven't tried a lot of them because I will be very honest, they are not my cup of tea. Personally, I gravitate towards different scent families, very different scent families to these ones. But from what I have tried and from what I have noticed with these two fragrances in particular, citrusy fragrances shine the best in warm weather. You need the heat for the fragrance to fully develop. You need the heat, in my opinion, for the notes to not go bitter, to not go overly green in a sense, you know. But when you have the heat, look, if I were to smell this one on a man, honestly, it will leave me a great impression. It's a beautiful fragrance. Now, I don't know how unique this one is. I'm thinking it's not the most unique one. But if you're looking for something that's affordable, that's very easy to enjoy, that smells very masculine, that will give you compliments, it will get you compliments for sure, because there's not much to not like about this fragrance. Look, something also that I wanted to mention, this doesn't smell youthful in a way. I don't know if I could picture this fragrance on a teenager because of that bitterness that it has, that's quite pronounced, I don't know, maybe you have the taste for it. If you have the taste for these kind of fragrances, I think it's one you should at least test. So honestly, I would advise you to look up a sample of this one. Again, performance is great for this fragrance, especially for the price. It has lasted more than 5 to 6 hours on my skin, if I remember correctly. As the fragrance for men gets closer to the dry down, to my nose, the citruses, those like refreshing, cooling, cold, are like citruses on ice type of feel that you had in the opening, faded away by now, and you get more of that green, aromatic, bitter hints. You start to get some powdery hints as well, a slight woody facet as well, and yeah, this is pretty much how it smells like to my nose, but it's definitely much heavier on that like green, aromatic, bitter feel. The fruitiness, I don't think I get fruity in the dry down. Look, honestly, I think both are beautiful. I think as long as you enjoy citruses in your fragrances and as long as you test them during the more favorable time of the year, in my opinion, I think you will have a positive experience with the fragrances. They smell beautiful. If I were to smell the fragrance for men on a man, I will give him like a mental compliment, you know. On me, it smells masculine, but like in a manly man type of masculine way, and very clean. Doesn't have a lot of sweetness to it, and also keep in mind, it's not very, I wouldn't picture that fragrance on young men, more on like, I don't know, like 25 and above, or I don't know, like 23 and above in a sense. But you have to appreciate, like I've mentioned, green, bitter, aromatic hints in your fragrances to fully appreciate that fragrance, in my opinion. As for the fragrance or for women, you guys, it smells really nice. Like, yeah, it smells really nice. It's beautiful. Again, it's not my cup of tea. It's not something that I would personally wear in my day-to-day life, but it's something that if I were to smell it on a friend of mine, I would actually compliment her fragrance. I think it smells assertive in a way. It's like, but at the same time, feminine in a sense. Like I've mentioned, not a girly feminine. It's not that like bright, happy, young, uplifting kind of fragrances, those like flirty fragrances. This is quite a serious fragrance. It smells very professional in a sense, you know. So yes, those are my thoughts about this fragrance. As for the oil, again, it's beautiful, but it's very soft. Okay, so I think the oil would work great if you enjoy wearing heavier fragrances in terms of notes, but let's just say maybe your work environment doesn't allow you to wear heavy fragrances. I think this one might be a good option for you as long as you enjoy this kind of fragrances, because it's muted, it's soft, it sits closer to the skin. It's the kind of fragrance that someone would have to come very close, like in your personal space, like giving you a hug kind of closeness, or like, yeah, that kind of closeness to be able to smell this fragrance on you, from what I have seen so far. Okay, so this is everything I wanted to tell you. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. If you have tried these fragrances, please let me know what you think about the fragrances. I am genuinely curious to hear your feedback, even if it's a positive feedback, even if it's a positive feedback or a negative feedback. I would love to hear your thoughts about these fragrances and how are they working for you. As always, if you want to tell me anything, please put it down in the comment section and I promise that I will get back to you. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I know I'm not the most active there, but if you still want to follow me on Instagram, here is my handle. As always, I will see you in my next video, but until then, thank you so much for watching, you guys, and I want to wish you an amazing day wherever you are. Bye.